of you guys have probably heard that it's our CQL accreditation this week. There's a lot to unpack there. Accreditation. Do you guys remember? Some of you might remember the Good Housekeeping Seal of Approval. Sometimes CQL every few years comes to search and like checks up on how we're doing. They get all up in our business and they say, search, are you a good agency? Let's look into it. So I'm going to show you guys a video that explains it much better than I'm doing, okay?
History of CQL, the Council on Quality and Leadership. Since 1969, CQL has been a leader in working with human service organizations and systems throughout the world to continuously define, measure, and improve quality of life and quality of services for youth, adults, and older adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities and psychiatric disabilities. CQL's vision is a world of dignity, opportunity, and community for all people. CQL believes that every person deserves respect, dignity, opportunity, and to be included in the community, whether they have a disability or not. That vision drives our mission of being dedicated to the definition, measurement, and improvement of personal quality of life. CQL has a long and rich history of conducting accreditation, training, certification, research, and consultation. We were formed in response to the injustices and deplorable treatment of people in public institutions being brought to light in the late 60s, early 70s.
All right, I'm going to stop it right there. We have, so who can remember so far? I know you didn't know there was going to be a quiz. What year did CQL start? Did anybody catch that? What year? The year was 1969. Oh, someone had Laurel. 1969, okay? So in 1969, the facilities that provided services for people with disabilities sucked, right? A lot of abuse, a lot of mistreatment, a lot of locked doors, a lot of unsanitary conditions. And CQL was started in 1969 as a response to the inhumane treatment of people with disabilities. It's just important to know that it's been around for a while, and that's why it started. All right, let's keep going.
In 1969, a national planning committee under the Joint Commission on Accreditation of Hospitals, now the Joint Commission, including industry leaders like AAIDD, the ARC, the Council for Exceptional Children, and United Cerebral Palsy, led to the creation of the organization which is now known as CQL, the Council on Quality and Leadership. The first edition of standards, which contained over 700, was developed by CQL in the early 1970s in an effort to end the inhumane treatment and abuse of people with intellectual disabilities in state institutions. CQL then took on a leadership role in developing expectations for community-based services, which were the basis for landmark...
Wait a minute, look at this guy right here. What's his... I think he looks a little hungover. I don't know what's going on here. This guy had a very late night, but at least he's showing up, right?
It was a rough night for him. Look at his jacket's all stained
him,
and everything. His tie's all short.
What is going on here? Oh, wait a minute. There's a story here. Okay,
that's how you show up. Oh, he's in court for something.
Yeah. Court decisions, like Wyatt v. Stickney.
Oh!
Federal courts later merged CQL's...
I think I know what's going on with this, Osbrook. I think he is standing up for his rights. He's saying, look at my jacket. It looks terrible. Look at my hair.
Oh, yeah.
I deserve a haircut. Like, come on now. I deserve a mug with handles. Okay.
And a jacket that
standards.
fits my arms.
Yeah, and a tie that doesn't, that's not for a 12-year-old. Okay, so guys, what we're saying here is that in order to fight for the rights of people with disabilities, it took the law, it took going into courts and fighting court battles just to demand humane treatment.
Into legal settlements in Texas, North Dakota, California, Arkansas, West Virginia, and other states.
I'm excited something. This is important because actually it has something to do with the elections that are coming up. This is big stuff, but I know you can handle it. In our country, there are federal laws, okay? And the federal laws they cover the whole country, okay? There are certain laws that when the federal government makes it, everybody has to do. But there are also individual state laws, right? So if a state makes a law, if Illinois makes one law and Texas makes another law, you could live in two different worlds. Boy, howdy, you could. So if an agency in Texas was disrespectful and an agency in Maryland provided good services, there was nothing anybody in Texas could do about it. So sometimes when the federal government says, no, we're America and everybody has to do this. That is what the story is talking about right now. In order to protect all people with disabilities, the federal government said, you know what, states, you're not doing a good enough job. We are the federal government. Now you all have to do these things. This is important because it's happening again, but we'll get to that. All right, you with me, guys? Thumbs up if you're still with me. Very good. Let me see some thumbs. I see some. All right, just get to it, Gladhill. Come on.
CQL was reorganized as an independent, not-for-profit organization in 1979, most commonly known as the Accreditation Council.
They clearly had cake with, looks like raspberries on top, Osbrook. I just need a second. Raspberries? Yeah.
Yeah, I think raspberries. I was going to say
That's what it looks
strawberries,
like.
but
I think it's more like a okay, well, we'll keep going.
Autism Society were added to the founding team of organizations at this time. CQL continued to develop new and updated national consensus standards throughout the 1980s.
Again, we heard national. So that means that these standards couldn't be different in Texas and in Illinois and in North Dakota and California. When it's a national consensus, it means all Americans, right?
The Healthcare Financing Administration, HCFA, now known as Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, based its regulations on the CQL standards, which were ultimately published in CQL's 1984 edition of Standards for Services. In 1987, the revised Standards for Services for People with Developmental Disabilities was published.
I also want to point something else out. She just said that the standards were written in 1987. You guys, this isn't that long ago. It was not that long ago that our friends and our family members there was no law saying you had to treat people well. A lot can happen in a very short amount of time. 1987 is not that long ago. So.
In 1990, CQL began work on what were then called the Outcome-Based Performance Measures, now known as the Personal Outcome Measures. We will talk more about them in just a minute. In 1997, the organization was renamed the Council on Quality and Leadership, or CQL. The Quality Measures Model was introduced in 2005, integrating multiple CQL tools, including shared values, basic assurances, responsive services, personal outcome measures, and community life.
Okay. sometimes in government and in politics, they use a lot of words to say something very simple. All of those things, all of those terms we just heard, they spent years trying to just drill down like what gives people quality of life, what makes the difference between a good, fulfilling life and a crappy life, right? That's all they're talking about. What do agencies need to do to ensure that somebody does not have a crappy life?
All into one cohesive package. CQL's What Really Matters initiative came to life in 2010.
See, there's a better one. What really matters. They're trying to figure out what really matters.
34 success indicators that characterize person-centered supports and promote personal quality of life outcomes, which together result in person-centered excellence. Now back to the personal outcome measures. In the early 1990s, CQL realized that people who use services needed to be included at the table.
This is a hilarious statement. In 1990, they're like, hey, wait a minute. Maybe the people with disabilities have something to say about this. Wow. So they're about to talk about palm interviews. Who here has had a palm interview? Do you guys know what a palm interview is? Raise your hand if you've had a palm interview. I see at Kensington, Mary's had a palm interview. Down at Ignite. Yep, Jonathan. If you haven't, you will. Somebody at Search might come and say, I need to do a little interview with you. It's called a palm interview. And when they do, you'll say, I remember a palm interview it's called personal outcomes measures. There's no test on this, guys. Just hang in there.
CQL began work on the now internationally recognized personal outcome measures. Some people refer to the tool as the PALM.
The PALM.
CQL invited people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, people with psychiatric disabilities, families, and other thought leaders to participate in focus groups to discuss quality measures. There was a big difference in what people and their families wanted compared with what professionals wanted.
All right, now that's big, get the key, right? So they're like, maybe we should ask you guys what you want instead of just deciding what we think you should want, right? It's a pretty good idea, right? All right.
The personal outcome measures were developed and piloted in 2 states, at 3 organizations, and then field tested in the US and Canada. In 1993, the first PALM tool with 30 outcomes was published. Over the years, data analysis led to the combination of several outcomes reducing the number to 25, and then to the 21 we have today. The personal outcome measures were revalidated in 2017 and reorganized under 5 factors. The CQL journey continues with the daily work of establishing real connections between disabilities theory and practice. The CQL portal data system now contains tens of thousands of PALM interviews, as well as hundreds of basic assurances assessments. Quality of life is why CQL is committed to partnering with providers.
I'm gonna
the CQL journey continues.
This video goes on and says a lot of blah blah.
Dated in 2017.
We're gonna get more into this. But okay, I want you guys to look at this. All right. I wish I could make that thing disappear. Okay, security. How safe you feel in your home and in your environment. My community. This one's important. You guys know how much we like to go out and go to the mall and go to restaurants and go to the movies and hang out with our friends. This is one of the things that CQL, that the PALM decided was important that made a difference between a good life and a crappy life, right? Feeling safe, being in the community. Let's see what else they came up with here. Relationships, having friendships, being connected to family members if you've got them or if you like them. Being able to have, personal relationships with significant others, being able to have friendships in the community, right? This down here, I'm sorry, let's see if we can make this go away.
17 and reorganized under 5
Let's see if, oh, no.
factors.
Oh, no, but won't. Okay. My choices. So having choice. And what's that one? I can't see it. Oh, no.
The CQ.
Oh, no. What's that one say?
I think that one's about my dreams, maybe.
It's in yellow, which is just, it's got a trophy.
My continence issues. No.
That does make a difference. Okay.
That's my goals.
My goals, is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, good job.
Goals.
Thank you. Oh,
All
look at
right,
this.
not
Okay, here we go.
continence
Yeah.
then, fine.
Okay, so look, I'm gonna just go over these really quick. But basically, remember it took like 20 years of people sitting around the table saying, what makes a good life? And it kind of boiled down to this, all right? So these are pretty good. Let's just go through these. And as I do, remember that that's what CQL is here to talk about this week. What are you doing, search, to make this happen? And if you are not, what is preventing you? What are some of the challenges? What can you do better? Okay. So let's look at what CQL is here this week looking at and asking us how we're doing and how we could do it better. So let's go back to the screen. I'll go all the way to, all right. Okay, so remember we had human security. So people are safe, people are free from abuse and neglect, that people have the best health that you can, all things considered, like you see a doctor regularly. People experience continuity and security. I'm sure everybody in the field might say that continuity is stressed out when there's a staffing crisis, that you have and use your rights, that you're treated fairly and that you're respected. That all falls under human security for having to, so you don't have a crappy life. My community, that people use your houses, that you live in, that you're not segregated away from everybody else, that you have opportunities to interact with people in your community, and that you participate in the world out there, right? So next. There's a lot in that. Okay.
Relationships. People decide.
Relationships, like I said, that you like, that you know your grocery, that you know your cashier at your corner store, that you have friends, that you can date, that you can say who does and doesn't get to see your personal information. Choices, my choices. People choose where and with whom they live. I'll tell you right now that CQL is asking if everybody gets to choose who they want to live with and where they want to live with. And I'll tell you right now that people are saying, no, I'd like my own bedroom, please. I know that's what they're saying right now. And so together we're brainstorming about how to make those things happen, considering all the budget, but we're having honest and open conversations about this, and people are being honest. Search is saying, yeah, we still cannot do that. Here's how we are making a plan to make that happen. All right. Makes sense? You guys are doing great. Stay with me. I'm almost done here. I know it's a long meeting. They choose where they work, and they choose which services you'd like to work with. The goals, it is goals. It's not incontinence, Osbrook. It's not about PP, even though it's yellow. That you choose your personal goals and that you can work towards your personal goals. We all have them. And even though we might be far away from them, we're still working towards them. That is one of the markers of a good life. Being able to at least work towards your goals. Not all of us get to our goals, but as long as we're working towards them, that can be very fulfilling. Okay, I think that was it. That's the 5. Yeah. So 21 divided into 5 parts. All right. So that's a pretty nice overview of what CQL is. Remember, it's the Council on Quality and Leadership. It's been around since like 1969. It works at a federal level, which is how you get anything done if you want it to be consistent from one state to the next. Medicare and Medicaid are national. That's why if you go from here to, for whatever, like North Carolina, your benefits will stay the same because it's a federal program. Medicare everywhere. That's right. All right. And CQL is interviewing people and administration and management at Search, asking questions about how well we do each of these things. And the other takeaway from this is that POM interview. That means personal outcome measurements. And it basically asks you those questions. How safe do you feel? Do you get to chase your dreams? Do you get to choose where you live and where you work? So that's what a POM interview is. Yeah, it's a lot to take in. I just wanted to share with you, what CQL is, because they're here now and they're walking around the building and they're looking into files and they're asking people questions and they're going to the homes and they're saying, what can you do better, Search? Search is committed to being the best agency it can be, even with all of the difficulties with our budget and our state. And you should also know what a POM interview is. Yeah, like, are people sleeping? All right, but most important, Friday, 12:30, Halloween bingo.